It's NFL Daily Power Rankings edition, and we'll start with the Factory of Sadness. The Browns are winless and hopeless. Can they get a win over the Steelers? Plus, the Eagles were just okay against the Raiders. The NFC appears to be wide open. Find out if Philly is still inside the top three. The Seahawks and Falcons are battling for that final wild card spot. Atlanta controls its own destiny. Who gets in? We debate. And the Panthers have a chance at the NFC South. One question we have for you at home. Will Cam Newton retire a Super Bowl winner? We want your comments. The Vikings have a chance at a home game Super Bowl, and we like their chances. Minnesota could be the most disruptive team in the playoffs. Tom Brady has struggled in December. That could translate to this postseason. We want to hear your comments live. And finally, we have a fresh batch of Super Bowl odds. Find out where your team stands, including the resurgent Jacksonville Jaguars. It's NFL Daily. Let's go.
Did you know that ticket prices can actually go down right before the game? That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time tracks ticket prices in real time from thousands of trusted sellers, then shows you all the best deals. So we can get tickets at the last minute for up to 60% off. Download Game Time now.
Hey folks, welcome into NFL Daily on this Thursday evening. How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Cam Rogers coming at you alongside Mr. Mitchell Renz. Follow him on Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. It's NFL Power Rankings edition, the last batch that we have for this regular season. Mitchell, it's a little emotional here.
It's a little bittersweet. I think it's crazy to see this entire season go by in what seems like a blink of an eye, but hey, last week of the regular season means playoffs next week. It's going to be a fun show, Cam.
A lot of turnover towards the top of the power rankings, so keep it right here on this video as we count you down from number 32 to number 1. And in the midway point of those power rankings, Mitchell, we also have a fresh batch of Super Bowl 52 odds for all you folks out there. A lot of Titans fans, Chargers fans, Ravens fans, etc. on the fringe of the playoff hunt, and they want to know what are the chances for those teams to get into the postseason and then, well, win that Super Bowl. All right, so before we get there, Mitchell, let's get into the power rankings. We'll start at the bottom. We'll keep it short and sweet for some of these, shall we say, disappointing squads out there. The Cleveland Browns checking in at number 32. Winless, they take on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it was just announced, no Ben Roethlisberger, so there's a chance here this week.
Yeah, there's a chance, but I don't even know without Le'Veon Bell or Ben Roethlisberger, this Browns team's going to be able to win, Cam. I mean, they're 0-15 for a reason, so they have not really showed any signs of life this entire season, and I don't really know if I expect them to change, but I mean, when you have guys who literally are in college football that say, I don't want to play for you, that's how you know how bad the situation is right now.
They've been in the cellar all season long. So has this team, it appears. The New York Giants checking in at number 31. Injuries, Eli Manning, Ben McAdoo. You can point to many things here, Mitch.
Yeah, the defense hasn't shown up as well, but I think it started all with the head coaching of Ben McAdoo. It's the reason why he's not on the team anymore.
Right.
But coming off a season where this Giants team made the playoffs and was actually, I thought, one of the best defenses in the NFL, to see them only win 2 games this year, very, very surprising.
They take on the Redskins this week, that one in New Jersey. Okay, number 30, the Indianapolis Colts. They'll take on the Houston Texans this week. And it looks like there's going to be a house cleaning, Mitchell, in terms of the coaching staff. Chuck Pagano and company likely gone.
Yeah, and it's not, again, not very surprising. I mean, when you just see how many wins that this Pagano-led Colts team has had, I mean, they haven't finished over 500 the last 3 seasons, and then this season, 4-10. Yes, there's no Andrew Luck, but at the end of the day, this Colts team, I think, is in a division that is very, very winnable, and yet they're still 4-10. So not surprising to see them at 30, Cam.
Talked about the Houston Texans. Here they are at number 29 in our power rankings, and they too have dealt with their fair share of injuries. Whitney Merciless, J.J. Watt, and then you lose Mr. Deshaun Watson. I mean, this could have been a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, earlier in the season, when you just saw Deshaun Watson lighting up the scoreboard, I mean, I remember here in the office, we talked many times like, wow, this Texas team is legit. They almost beat the Patriots. And then it just absolutely went downhill once Deshaun Watson got hurt, once Merciless was lost, once Watt is lost. Unfortunately, though, this team is not very good, but I think their future is very, very bright.
The Texans there at 4-11, and they have the Indianapolis Colts this week in Indy. All right, number 28 in our power rankings, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers so much promise coming into 2017, Mitchell, and have not been able to execute this season. Dirk Cutter apparently getting in a rift with Jameis Winston. Those are the reports.
Yeah, I think when I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Cam, I think of it a lot like Tinder, to be honest, like a Tinder girl. Like, yeah, she looks really good on paper. She looks good in the pictures. But then on the field, she shows up and you're like, wow, what the heck did I get myself into? Like, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think when you look at the quarterback, the talent they have on the team, they should be really good. 4 wins. Sorry, Tampa Bay. Maybe next year.
That's a very 2017 analogy, Mitchell. Well done. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're at number 28 in our power rankings. Number 27, the Chicago Bears. They could be looking towards a coaching change. Looks like John Fox is likely out. In fact, Mitchell, reports are saying that the Bears are already searching for replacements.
Good, because John Fox, I think, is one of the most overrated head coaches in all the NFL. His only staple to fame is he was good during Peyton Manning's prime, so, again, not that impressive. I can coach a team led by Peyton Manning, but, yeah, I mean, Mitchell Trubisky has really impressed me this year. I think he's shown that he can be a franchise quarterback. They just need to put some talent around him, especially at the wide receiver position.
5-9 on the year for the Chicago Bears. They take on the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, a very meaningful game for the Vikings. We'll get to that later. All right, so the Chicago Bears are at 27. Number 26, the Denver Broncos. They basically just fell down against the Washington Redskins last week on the road. They're 5-10 on the campaign. They take on the Chiefs this week, led by Patrick Mahomes, it was announced. But for Denver, they weren't able to run the football effectively this year, and the defense was on the field way too much. So as a result, the defense was just gassed the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I think going forward, like, again, this team, the Broncos, I still think have a top 5 defense in terms of just NFL talent. And, yeah, their running game hasn't shown up, but when you just have the circus at quarterback that this team has had, it just shows how important the quarterback position is. If they can add a solid piece and solid quarterback, this team, I think, could at least compete for the AFC West, because apparently it's not that good of a division, Cam.
Could it be Kirk Cousins? That is the big question mark there.
That would be awesome.
John Elway loves his free agent quarterbacks. All right, so Denver's there at 26. Checking in at number 25, the New York Jets. And let's just sit back and appreciate we saw some good things from this team this year. I mean, they were supposed to go 0-16.
Yeah, and which I think is kind of funny, like, 25 in the power rankings, and it's like, good job, Jets. Like,
we are hand clapping to that, yes.
Yeah, but it's the truth. Like, coming into the season, there was many experts considering them to not even going to be able to win a game, and yet they won 5. They were the best team in New York, so my hat's off to the New York Jets, and this is a team that still has not given up. They played the Chargers tough last week, only losing by 7 points.
They always play the Patriots tough. They'll take on New England this week on the road. All right, so the Jets are at 25. Let's summarize what we have so far. If you're just tuning in and you missed your team, 32 through 29 here, Browns, Giants, Colts, and Texans. And then 28 through 25, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Chicago Bears, Denver Broncos, and the New York Jets. This is NFL Daily here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. Cam Rogers alongside Mitchell Renz. We're presented by the Game Time app. Get up to 60% off all of those concert tickets, sports tickets, theater tickets, and so much more. Really a fantastic app. You got to check it out, chatsports.com/tickets, Mitchell.
Yeah, for sure. I was on the app before the show, Cam, and I was thinking about some cool ideas and just like things that, maybe I could do over the weekend. Well, if you were into it, we could go to Indianapolis. We could watch the Colts game. It's $29.
Boom.
I bet you it would cost more to park at the game than to actually get your tickets for the Colts game.
I probably guarantee that, yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
Not exactly a headliner game, but you know what? This app is a beautiful thing because it's all about spontaneity. You want to go to a game, boom, you go on it, and you find out some pretty cheap tickets for all the games you want to go to. So, Game Time app, sponsoring NFL Daily here on Chat Sports. Let's move along here in our power rankings. We were talking about the bottom feeder teams. We're getting closer to the better teams in the NFL. Let's take a look at number 24, the Miami Dolphins. Mitchell, at one point, this team was 4-2.
4-2, but again, like, this is a team that shows up some weeks, and then there's other weeks that they don't show up, Cam. I mean, I will give them this. They are much better at home than they are on the road. But again, this is a team that can beat the Patriots and then just absolutely just not show up the next week. You never know what kind of team you're going to get, but again, that's what you sign up for when you have Jay Cutler as your quarterback.
And they just lost big time to the Kansas City Chiefs, 29-13. They take on the Bills this week. Number 23 in our power rankings, the Cincinnati Bengals. They too could be without a head coach after the year. Marvin Lewis looks like he is moving along, and I think in due time, for sure.
Yeah, and again, it's in due time. I mean, when you have no postseason wins in your entire career, I mean, that highlights a lot. But they have a tough matchup this week against Baltimore, and during week one, their week one game against Baltimore, they were absolutely embarrassed. 4 interceptions for Andy Dalton. And the Ravens are looking pretty good, and unfortunately the Bengals are not, and I think it's going to continue.
All right, so you said it, Cincinnati Bengals, they take on the Ravens this week in a must-win game for Baltimore. So the Bengals are at 23 and looking for a new head coach most likely. Number 22, Oakland Raiders. You know, there are rumblings here that Jack Del Rio's tenure has gone a little sour.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the hottest names last season, just considering what the Raiders were and what we expected them to be, but I don't know if it's as much Jack Del Rio's fault as much as it is like we need to start pointing the finger, I think, a little bit less at head coaches and a little bit more at players. Like Derek Carr to me has not looked all that great this year. Yes, he's dealt with a lot more pressure in his face, but the wide receivers, Michael Crabtree, Amari Cooper, they haven't shown up and played well this year. Marshawn Lynch has, I think, shown that he retired a year ago and now he's coming back. Like this Oakland Raiders team did not play as well as what we thought, and I think that's why the disappointment is there, especially for a team that's going to be leaving soon, Cam.
No doubt about it. Derek Carr has certainly regressed from last year's amazing campaign. So the Raiders are at number 22. They fell from number 20 a week ago. Number 21, a team that is rising here in the bottom portion of the rankings. The San Francisco 49ers, one name needed, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G, and I'm going to tip my hat to fellow Harris Rubenstein, who kind of called us out a little bit, especially me. He said he was a top 12 quarterback, and I said no way. From what I've seen the last few weeks, I think he is. Like, when you can go score 44 points, and I think the best defense in the league in the Jacksonville Jaguars, that speaks volumes. Jimmy G is totally leading this team, and it looks like they made the right choice, and it looks like the Patriots actually had a swing and a miss.
No doubt about it. And by the way, the defense has actually gotten better for the Niners too during that streak of wins with Jimmy Garoppolo at the quarterback position. So everybody playing better. The Niners are at 21. Let's get to 20 here. The Arizona Cardinals, injuries, turnover. You can look at a lot of things here, Mitchell. And oh, by the way, Bruce Arians could be gone.
Yeah, which I think kind of fits the offense that they might have to go to going forward. I mean, this team is going to need to lean on their running back, David Johnson, who has missed this entire season. But I think when he's on the field, you could argue he's the best running back in all of football. You could argue he's better than Gurley, Bell. I mean, he is truly that talented. Carson Palmer's getting up there in age. Bruce Arians likes to stretch the field. Larry Fitzgerald's getting up there in age. So maybe they need to go to a little bit more run-centric, take some pressure off that defense.
All right, so there are the Arizona Cardinals, all things considered in terms of the injuries. Not a bad record. Big victory last week against the Giants, 23-0. Let's get into the teams now. The Green Bay Packers at number 19. Boy, I feel like, I'm repeating myself with my analysis here, but injuries again, Aaron Rodgers.
And that's it. Like, we could literally end this with Aaron Rodgers, injuries.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, Brett Hundley last week just was horrible. Horrible. I mean, they were shut out at home again this season. I don't even know if the Packers have ever been shut out twice at home in an entire season. But when you don't have, I think, the best quarterback in the NFL, it just shows how much it can hurt your team. And I also think it shows how, we'll say, vanilla or plain their head coach McCarthy is. So let's get a new head coach in there. I wouldn't even be surprised about that.
All right, so the Packers are at number 19. Number 18, the Washington Redskins coming off a victory over the Denver Broncos. And really, that's just ceremonial at this point. They're out of the playoff hunt. But I think the real question here with Washington, can they keep Kirk Cousins for 2018?
Can they keep him? Sure. It's going to cost them a lot of money, though. It's somewhere, I believe, around like $34 million. So that is a heavy price tag for Kirk Cousins. But I think Kirk Cousins, I don't want to say he's worth that because I don't really know if anybody's worth that kind of money in the NFL. But he has really led this team, and a team that's been also battling injuries. Like, we're talking, they lost their top wide receiver Terrell Pryor. They've lost multiple pieces on that offensive line. They've lost multiple running backs, and yet Kirk Cousins is still getting it done. And I think he's had to do it with pieces that are just kind of being thrown together. The Redskins kind of put themselves in a bind, but I'll tell you what, I would love to see Kirk Cousins in a Broncos uniform.
It would certainly be fun indeed. All right, so Washington at 18. Let's get into some teams that are inside the playoff hunt. Mathematically speaking, we got the Buffalo Bills here at number 17. They take on the Dolphins this week. They're coming off a loss against the New England Patriots, and it seems like the theme of the Bills, Week 17s, when they're in the hunt, they kind of falter. So you got to be careful with this one.
Yeah, and again, they're on the road in Miami, and Miami has 4 wins, or 6 wins this season, but 4 of which came at home, and they've won their last 2 home games against solid teams. I mean, one of those teams being the Patriots, so I don't think it's a given that the Bills are going to make the playoffs. They still need a few other things to go their way, but again, this is a team who I think is really, really regretting sitting Tyrod Taylor.
You think?
Really, really regretting it, especially now with the Chargers ahead of them, but man, this Bills team, if they show up and play, they could be a sneaky team in the playoffs because I think their defense is okay, but LaShawn McCoy, Tyrod Taylor, I don't know if that's enough to get it done.
All right, so there are the Bills there. They need some help to get into the playoffs, so they don't control their own destiny. This team does. The Tennessee Titans, checking in at number 16, have lost their last 3 games and yet can still get into the playoffs against the after winning against the Jaguars this week, if that happens.
Yeah, they are in the driver's seat, Cam, but I feel like this team should have a permit and not a driver's license. Like, this is one of those teams who, when I watch them play, they are not a playoff caliber team. Since they were 8-4, I've been saying it that they're not going to make the playoffs because they're not good enough. And they play the Jacksonville Jaguars this week, who, yes, they did beat earlier in the season, 37-16, but this is not the same Tennessee Titan team, and I don't think it's the same Jaguar team. Yes, the Jags just got beat last week to the 49ers, but this is going to be an angry team who's going to just put it to the Tennessee Titans. I think they lose this game. This is a team who also needs to figure out what the heck's going on offense because it's just been a circus there.
All right, so there are the Tennessee Titans. Hey, folks, it's NFL Daily on this Thursday evening. Cam Rogers coming at you alongside Mitchell Renz. We're doing power rankings here, and we just got to the midway point talking about the Titans there at number 16. Let's get into our Super Bowl odds segment. So we have a fresh batch of odds for you via Odds Shark. That's the source that we used. And we're going to start off with the worst odds here among teams mathematically in the playoff hunt. The Tennessee Titans start things off at number 15, 125-1. We just talked about it. Mitchell, have been uninspiring the last few weeks.
Uninspiring, and have a tough matchup again this week against the Jags. DeMarco Murray is questionable, so I don't know if he's going to play, so they might have to lean on Henry, though Henry did run for 92 yards and a touchdown the last time he played the Jaguars. We'll see, but I'll tell you what, I would be surprised to see the Titans in the playoffs.
All right, so Tennessee there at number 15. By the way, Jaguars not going to be resting their starters in that game, at least according to head coach Doug Marrone. We shall see if he's just playing mind games, but there are the Titans at 15 in terms of Super Bowl odds rankings. Number 14, the same odds here, the Buffalo Bills, 125-1, and you're going to see some repeats of the odds here. We actually used some tiebreakers here to put teams ahead of one another, but there are the Bills there at 14.
Yeah, again, not surprising. This is a team who needs a few things to go their way to even get into the playoffs and win a game. So, again, not a playoff caliber team, in my opinion.
All right, so Buffalo there at 125-1. The LA Chargers are the next team at number 13, 66-1. You give them any shot here for the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl, maybe not. That one's a little bit of a stretch.
They need some help to get in first.
But still, hey, they got to get in. For a team who started 0-4, I think the Chargers need to look at themselves and say, all right, guys, like we had a really good season, but I do love Phillip Rivers, but he has yet to prove to me that he can win a big game. He makes too many turnovers in costly games, but when you win 8 of your last 11 games, you're playing solid football. That defense has been playing a lot better. We'll see if they can put it together a win this week, but I think they're going to make the playoffs, Cam.
All right, so the Chargers are at 13. They take on the Raiders this week. Number 12 in terms of Super Bowl odds, we got the Baltimore Ravens, 33-1. What do you make of my Ravens here, Mitchell?
Well, you know, I kind of am not a believer, we'll say that, in Joe Flacco, but this defense I am a believer in, and it really kills me that they just lost Jimmy Smith because I think with him, they are one of the best defenses in the NFL. Unfortunately, they don't have the offensive firepower, I believe, to be able to win the Super Bowl, but they have an easy game this week, I believe, against the Colts or Bengals. They play the Bengals this week.
At home, yeah.
Yeah, they play the Bengals this week, which is a game that I believe they're going to win. Going to get in the playoffs as the 5 seed.
All right, so the Ravens checking in at number 12 here. The Seahawks are ahead of the Ravens, and the Seahawks don't even control their playoff destiny. They have a 25-1 odd here to win the Super Bowl. Look, if Seattle gets in, can they be that dangerous team? Sure, but can they even get in? That's the question.
That's the ultimate question. I mean, they need to win this week against the Arizona Cardinals, and they need the next team who's up on our list to lose. So, again, this team, I don't know if they can get in, but Russell Wilson, who I think has been an MVP caliber quarterback, when he's on the field, you have to at least give them a chance. But that offensive line has not played well, and that defense has not showed up the last few weeks.
And we'll get to a reaction poll after the Falcons analysis here. So the Falcons check in at number 10, 25-1 odds. So it's between these two teams to get that number 6 seed in the NFC. And look, if the Falcons get in, certainly can get back to the Super Bowl. They were there just last year. Of course, we all, think about the collapse and all that. But look, let's face it. I mean, they played well for a good portion of that game. Matt Ryan can get back there and be a threat in the Super Bowl. We'll see if it actually happens. The Falcons have to take care of business this week against Carolina. How do you like Atlanta's chances here?
Well, I will say this. The Falcons at home, I think, are a much more serious matchup to be considered, especially against the Carolina Panthers. But the Panthers have a lot to play for. This team is just experiencing the biggest Super Bowl hangover I have ever seen. I expected it, but Matt Ryan went from 38 touchdowns, Cam, to 19.
Yeah.
That's a hangover that I can't even imagine. I don't even want to know what that's like. So.
All right, let's pull up this reaction poll here because I want the people at home to start throwing in these votes. Who gets the number 6 seed in the NFC? So it's between the Falcons and the Seahawks. If the Falcons beat the Panthers, they are in. But if Seattle wins this week and the Falcons lose to Carolina, then Seattle is in. What happens, Mitchell? Project things for me.
Whew. So I think the Carolina Panthers are going to beat the Atlanta Falcons. I think they match up very well. The Atlanta Falcons have given up the most receptions to running backs with 101 this season. And guess what? The Carolina Panthers have a guy named Christian McCaffrey, tied for second in the NFL with receptions. I think the Carolina Panthers have a certain swagger, have a certain toughness that's very tough to stop, especially for a team like the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, the Seahawks are struggling right now, and I thought, to be honest, they played one of the worst games I've ever seen last week against the Dallas Cowboys. Still won the game, but I think that they're a good enough team where they can go and they can beat the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm going to throw out my wow face, Cam. Seattle Seahawks making the playoffs.
Wow. You know what? I'm throwing up the heart. I think the Falcons beat the Panthers at home. On paper, the Panthers probably look like the better team, but I think the Falcons sneak into the playoffs. We'll see if they can make some noise, but I do have them inside that picture. All right, so we just talked about the Seahawks and the Falcons in terms of Super Bowl odds. How about the Jacksonville Jaguars? They have 16-1 odds, and look, let's just look back to 2017 going into the season. Nobody expected this. Nobody.
Well, I don't want to say nobody. I did project the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the division.
Oh,
I did
then,
on
there you go.
on the show on here in Chat Sports. I did, but did I think that they were going to be this dominant on defense? I don't really know about that. I'm not going to sit here and toot my own horn like that. But Blake Bortles has been playing well. The running game has been solid. With even when Leonard Fournette has missed, they've been playing well. So, and then you have guys stepping up like Keelan Cole, T.D. Westbrook. This is a team who I wouldn't want to play because I think defense travels, especially in the playoffs. So. Defense wins championships, Cam. We'll see.
There's one team the Steelers don't want to see in the playoffs, and I think it's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I think it's also the New England Patriots.
Well, the Patriots too, but the Jaguars scared Big Ben in that game. I mean, Ben had 5 interceptions. It was not a good game. And that was the earlier part of the season, etc. Fine, but the Jacksonville Jaguars can make some noise in the playoffs. Can they get to a Super Bowl? I don't know if it's this year. Not too bad odds, though, ranking at number 9. All right, how about number 8 here? The Kansas City Chiefs. I don't like this one. I think they should be a little lower, Mitchell, to be honest with you. They're going to win the AFC West. That's all good and dandy, but I think they have a 1-round exit written all over them.
And I couldn't agree with you anymore, Cam. I mean, this Kansas City Chiefs team, for the last half of the season, has just been, I think, one of the biggest laughingstocks. I mean, you're talking about a team who was number 1 on our power rankings for many, many weeks, undefeated, and we were like, wow, this Chiefs team is legit. And then Alex Smith showed up. They stopped giving the ball to Kareem Hunt. I will say they've gone back to giving Kareem Hunt the ball more, which has then turned into wins, believe it or not. But I'm excited to see Patrick Mahomes this week. But again, this is not a Chiefs team to me who I think can ultimately win a Super Bowl because they're handicapped by the quarterback play.
All right, so the Chiefs are there at number 8. Number 7, the Carolina Panthers, 14-1 odds. They actually have a shot to get a first-round bye if they can win and have a bunch of stuff go down. It's not going to happen probably. But still, I mean, they're the Panthers. They're number 7. I feel like there's an argument to be made that they can be higher in terms of the odds.
I'll tell you what. If they win this week and the Saints and the Vikings lose, that's how they get up to that 2 seed. So, I mean, there is a chance for them to get up there. I think actually also the Rams have to lose, Cam. I'm not 100% sure.
The Rams do have to lose or tie.
Okay, so if the Panthers have that first round bye, I mean, these odds are going to shoot up the board, but Cam Newton, when he has that swagger and this defense plays with the physical toughness that they are capable of playing with, they are a tough team to beat. I would not want to play them. I mean, they just beat the Minnesota Vikings a few weeks ago. Yeah, they didn't play all that well against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but at the end of the day, good teams find a way to win. Carolina Panthers, they're a scary team in the playoffs.
Let's stay in this division here, Mitchell. Let's go to number 6, the New Orleans Saints, 10-1 odds. I think the beauty of the Saints, run the football effectively. They can be physical, but hey, if it becomes a shootout, bring out Drew Brees, throw the football 55 times, you're in good shape.
Yeah, man, I love the Saints, especially this year. I mean, they're a fun team to watch. I mean, considering they have Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, who both have over 1,300 rushing yards or total yards from scrimmage, is pretty amazing. Like, when you have just 2 running backs who can do so many different things in your backfield, and then you have Drew Brees, who's on pace to break the NFL completion percentage record, like, this is an offense who can beat you in so many different ways. And their defense is very underrated. They've been playing much better. Sure, I think Lattimore still isn't 100% healthy. They've lost a few key pieces on the defense with their linebacking core, but you can't tell me there's a single NFL team right now that wants to play the Saints. No way.
All right, so the NFC South has not been determined yet, at least the winner. So we have a reaction poll for the folks at home. Who wins the NFC South? Give us a heart for the Saints, a wow face for the Panthers. The Saints control their destiny. They win, they get the South. If they lose and the Panthers beat the Falcons, the Panthers get the NFC South, and the Carolina Panthers will be hosting a playoff game. So, Mitch, it comes down to one team perhaps going on the road, another hosting a playoff game. That means a lot.
It does mean a lot, but I think the Saints have the easier road. They play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where the Carolina Panthers have to play the Atlanta Falcons on the road. Cam, if there's one thing I think that you know about me, I am a huge Brees lover, so this is super fitting that the Saints are a heart. I'm going to throw up a heart here because the Saints are going to win this game. They're going to win the NFC South. They are the best team in the NFC South. Love seeing those Saints. Who Dat Nation, get at me.
We're getting a lot of hearts, so a lot of Who Dat Nation representatives out there watching NFL Daily here. All right, so we'll see what happens in the NFC South. We do know the winner of the NFC West, the Los Angeles Rams. They have the 5th best Super Bowl odds, 10-1 here.
Yeah, as we all predicted, the Rams were going to win this division, which is pretty amazing. I went back and I looked at our power rankings the very first week, and it made me chuckle because we'll just say the Rams weren't all that high. But it's amazing. Minus Jeff Fisher, insert a new head coach and Sean McVay, a young guy, and now you have Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, who I think is the best running back in the NFL right now. This is a team who is steamrolling teams. They're putting up points at it's not to the rate of greatest show on turf, but I'll tell you what.
It's up there.
They're getting close, man. They're a fun team to watch. And that defense with Donald just coming up the middle, scary defense. Rams, they are a legit team, very legit team. I would love to see them in the Super Bowl.
The offensive line playing a lot better this year too, so certainly something to monitor as we go into the playoffs when the run game is needed big time. All right, so the Rams are there at 5. How about number 4, the Philadelphia Eagles? The argument could be made if Carson Wentz is the current quarterback. The Eagles would probably have better odds, but 8-1, there you go with Nick Foles. Take what you can get, I guess.
I'm actually surprised by this because it's Nick Foles. Yes, the Eagles have won with Nick Foles, but they haven't played very good teams. Like, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to say 100% sure that the Giants will not make the playoffs. So, like, this Eagles team has yet to, I think, really come out and show that they can play well. They really struggled last week against the Oakland Raiders, in which I thought was one of the worst Monday games I've ever seen. I almost fell asleep doing it on Christmas. Like, I couldn't even believe it. Nick Foles, the offense looked out of sync. The running game was not going well because, again, teams are stacking the box, forcing Nick Foles to beat them. It's hurting their defense. I'm surprised the Eagles are this high.
All right, so the Eagles are at number 4. I'm seeing a lot of skull comments flowing in. Let's bring up the Minnesota Vikings. Here they are, 5-1 odds to get that home game Super Bowl, if you will. I'm telling you, Mitchell, this defense, top down. I'm talking about secondary to the defensive line. Very, very solid. Case Keenum playing effectively at the quarterback position, and Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen really fantastic wide receivers. Top 5, I feel, wide receiving duo in the NFL.
Ooh, okay. I can get with that. Especially because there's a certain guy who's hurt right now in our next team on the list. But they also have a good running back duo with McKinnon and Latavius Murray.
Sure.
Case Keenum has played unbelievable, just stepping in. And this defense, I will say, the Minnesota Vikings defense at home, Cam, is the best defense in the NFL when they play at home. They have not allowed more than 20 points in the entire season at home. The only team that has scored more than 18 points is the New Orleans Saints. That came in week 1. This Minnesota Vikings team beats teams up at home, and if they're home, good luck. They're going to get into the playoffs. They're going to get into the Super Bowl. My mistake.
They're going to be a very scary team in the NFC playoffs, and I think there is an opening here with Carson Wentz's injury for perhaps Minnesota to be that team in the NFC. Okay, so they have the 3rd best odds. We have the Steelers there at number 2, 5-1, and Pittsburgh losing Antonio Brown for what seems to be a couple of weeks. Looks like he could be back here for the playoffs. That's going to be very important to monitor that injury there for Pittsburgh.
I think it is 100% predicated. If Antonio Brown can play, I think that this team can make the Super Bowl. If Antonio Brown is not 100% healthy and is not on the field, I don't think the Steelers really have a chance. So, yes, they still have Le'Veon Bell, who you could argue is the best running back in the league, who is just on a historic pace of touches, averaging like 28 a game. But I just don't think Ben Roethlisberger is good enough to get it done with Juju, Martavis Bryant, and Eli Rogers or whoever the heck else they have on catching the ball. But if Antonio Brown's on the field, Cam, and he's healthy, there's no reason why the Steelers can't beat the Patriots, because they should have beat them before.
All right, so there are the Steelers at 2. Number 1, the New England Patriots, 2-1 odds to win Super Bowl 52, Mitchell.
I mean, like, is this even surprising? Like, coming into the season, the Patriots, like, we know what the Patriots are. And yes, they started the season off rocky against the Chiefs, but of course they play their best football at the end of the season. Tom Brady has been struggling, though. He has been struggling the last few weeks, so I think that's something to monitor. We saw Peyton Manning fall off a cliff real quick when he got older. He is 41. Just saying, Cam.
Hey, we'll ask about it later in the show, so stay tuned.
Just saying.
All right, so there are the Patriots there at number 1. Let's summarize what we have here in terms of our Super Bowl odds rankings, folks. If you're just tuning in, you missed your team, here you go. We got the Tennessee Titans there at 15, Buffalo at 14, Los Angeles Chargers at 13, Baltimore Ravens at 12, Seattle Seahawks at 11. Mitchell, pick a scary team in that list there that could perhaps steal a Super Bowl.
Steal a Super Bowl? I guess I'm going to go with your Baltimore Ravens, and it's just simply because of the defense. I think the defense is the best team there, and if Joe Flacco can play the way that we saw him play, in 2012, that team is scary good, because I don't think any of the other teams have a good enough defense or a solid enough offensive line.
All right, 15 through 11 right there. Let's go to 10 through 6 here. Falcons, Jaguars, Chiefs, Panthers, Saints. A few NFC South teams there, and Jacksonville as well, an AFC South representative. A couple of legit Super Bowl contenders on this list here, Mitchell.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the Jaguars with that defense, sure, their quarterback play is a little bit lacking, but Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints, I think it's crazy to see 3 teams from the same division. A lot of people who follow me on Twitter have been saying the NFC South is the best division in all of football, and when you see a graphic like this, I think it's hard to argue.
All right, so 10 through 6 there. Let's go to 5 through 1. Rams, Eagles, Vikings, Steelers, Patriots. These are the favorites. Mitchell, does it make sense to keep New England there at number 1?
It does. I mean, as long as number 12 is Colin Hike for the Patriots, I mean, there's a reason why people call him the GOAT. Like, there's a reason why I think he is the greatest quarterback of all time. He wins big games, and as long as he's Colin Hike, it's hard to argue. But I'll tell you what, the team that I'm rooting for the most on that list right now, Cam, Minnesota Vikings. And then the Rams are a close second.
Skol, baby. Minnesota Vikings.
Skol Nation.
Looking like a fantastic team in the NFC. Those are your Super Bowl odds rankings, folks. This is NFL Daily here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. We are indeed presented by the Game Time app. Get up to 60% off all those last-minute sports tickets. Check them out, chatsports.com/tickets. Download that app today and download the Chat Sports app if you haven't already. 2 fantastic apps that you certainly have to have. So, many thanks to Game Time for sponsoring the show here. Cam Rogers with you alongside Mitchell Renz. Let's continue our Week 17 power rankings. Let's get to number 15 on the list here, and we're getting to some of the legit playoff contenders And checking in at number 15, the Detroit Lions. I say playoff contenders. Well, they could have been. They've been eliminated. They lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. What do we make of the Lions?
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, they don't win big games. Matthew Stafford has, I believe, won like 6 games against above 500 teams in his entire career. And when a game needs to, when he needs to win a game, he just can't do it. We saw this past week the Cincinnati Bengals embarrass the Detroit Lions. And again, Matthew Stafford, I think he's one of the most overrated paid quarterbacks in the league. And if people from Detroit don't like that, well then, sorry, but he can't win big games.
All right, so the Lions there at number 14. Let's go to number 13. This team could sneak into the playoffs and be a legit contender. Los Angeles Chargers here, or excuse me, I'm going to go, I'm skipping ahead. I'm thinking ahead of myself in terms of the playoff contenders here. We got to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Number 14, 8-7 on the campaign. They too have been eliminated from the playoff picture. And a lot of Cowboys fans out there saying, Jason Garrett, get out of here. Time for a new head coach.
Yeah, I think it's time for Garrett to go. I think it's time for Linehan to go. And I mean, when you see how much talent I think that this team actually has, like, yes, Des Bryant has definitely fallen off. Yes, I think Dak Prescott could obviously be a little bit better than what he was this past week. But when you have a running back like Ezekiel Elliott, and we were screaming, I mean, literally screaming here in the office, when you're on the 3-yard line, Cam, and you have 4 downs getting in the end zone, and none of those plays involve Ezekiel Elliott, makes me want to rip my hair out because Ezekiel Elliott is a top 5 running back. You could argue he is maybe the best running back in the NFL, and it just drives me nuts to see that they don't give him the ball.
So we have a weigh-in for the folks at home. Should the Cowboys move on from Jason Garrett? I mean, one thing you can say about Garrett, I mean, he's a stable coach. I mean, he's not going to break any headlines, good or bad. But the other thing is, well, is he a puppet for Jerry Jones? That's the other deal.
I was just going to say that. He's a puppet, and you literally took the words right out of my mouth, and it's unfortunate, but that's how it is. And, yeah, Jerry does make all the calls, but you can't tell me Jerry Jones likes not making the playoffs, especially from a team who was 13-3 to missing the playoffs. That doesn't sit well with Jerry. All
right, the Dallas Cowboys check in at number 14. How dare I skip the Cowboys? But here come the Chargers at number 13, a legit contender if they can get in, Mitchell. It's one of those deals where I think they can be scary if they make it.
Yeah, if they make it, there's no doubt. I mean, this is a team who, like we said before, is playing much better, especially that defense. I mean, they're holding teams. Yes, they did struggle against the Kansas City Chiefs, but for some reason, Philip Rivers cannot play in Kansas City. This Chargers team, with that offense, yes, they did just lose Hunter Henry, but they have a lot of pieces there. Hopefully, Melvin Gordon's healthy this week, but I think they win. And again, they still need a little bit of help, but I think the Chargers get in, Cam, and it's a team that people do not want to face.
So the Chargers are at 13. The big question mark in the AFC playoff picture, who gets the wild card slots? And more specifically, who gets that number 6 seed? You got the Titans, Bills, Chargers, and Ravens all as options here. If the Ravens lose, they can still get into the playoffs. That's why we have them there. Who gets that 6th spot?
Well, I think the Ravens are going to get the 5 seed because they're going to win this week against the Cincinnati Bengals. So they're going to cement themselves in the 5 seed. The Titans, if they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, would get the 6 seed. However, they are not going to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Buffalo Bills are going to beat the Dolphins, but the Chargers will win this week, Cam. The Chargers, I'm throwing up my thumb. They're going to win it. They're going to get in as the 6th seed.
Yeah, I agree. I'm throwing up my like as well. I think the Chargers win this week. I have the Bills losing to Miami, and I have the Titans losing to Jacksonville. That means LA gets into the playoffs, and the Ravens get that 5 seed. I agree with you on that front as well. Folks, throw in your votes, and we'll be tracking them here in NFL Daily. Let's summarize what we have so far. So 32 through 29, we got Browns, Giants, Colts, and Texans. 28 through 25, Buccaneers, Bears, Broncos, and Jets. 24 through 21, Dolphins, Bengals, Raiders, and 49ers. 20 through 17, we have the Cardinals, followed by the Packers, Redskins, Bills. And then 16 through 13 here, Tennessee Titans, Detroit Lions, Dallas Cowboys, and the Los Angeles Chargers. A couple of those teams already eliminated from playoff contention. But if you're a Cowboys and Lions fan, you can celebrate being inside the top 15. All right, let's get into number 12 here in our power rankings. The Seattle Seahawks, they need help to get into the playoffs. But if they get in, you know, they've been there, done that.
Exactly, and I think a lot of times when you see playoff caliber teams, I mean, it's the experience, it's what it takes to get there. Russell Wilson, I think, is anytime he's on the field, he's a scary option. But they did not play well against the Dallas Cowboys last week. I mean, let's face it, they had no business winning that game. And the fact that they won it is, I think, even more embarrassing. They held Russell Wilson under 100 yards passing. Like, they're not going to win many games like that. This offensive line is the worst offensive line in the league. But I guess you have to say they've been there with Russell Wilson. I think anything is possible.
9-6, they have to win this week and hope Atlanta loses to Carolina. So Seattle's there at number 12, inching up from number 13 a week ago. Number 11 here, the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, great, they won the division. They're going to get a home playoff game. Can they do much more than that, though?
With Alex Smith, no, I don't believe it's possible. I mean, again, like, this is a guy who is very limited, and yes, the Kansas City Chiefs were great this season, but then teams figured out what the Chiefs were trying to do, and they took away Kareem Hunt, and then once all the offense was leaned on Alex Smith, that's when they really started to struggle. Travis Kelce, I think you could argue, is right up there with Rob Gronkowski as the best tight end in football, but at the end of the day, this secondary is very, very beat up, and they just don't have the quarterback play to be able to stick with a lot of teams, so I think they could be a one and done, Cam.
The Chiefs are locked in as the number 4 seed, so they won't be playing many of their starters. We know they won't be playing Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes starting at quarterback for Kansas City. All right, so the Chiefs are there at 11. Let's go to the top 10 now. Baltimore Ravens, Joe Flacco and company. January Joe. Mitchell, give me your analysis.
Well, it's still only December, Cam, so let's pump those brakes a little bit there, buddy. But Joe Flacco, I mean, they have been playing better. I mean, they really have. I mean, they've won what? They won last week, and then they lost a nail-biter to the Steelers 3 weeks ago. So, again, this is a tough defense who I would not want to play in the playoffs because I think defense travels. So, I just wish they had Jimmy Smith. If they had Jimmy Smith, man, they would be a force to be reckoned with. But, again, playing well, I'll give it to you. They deserve to be in the top 10. All
right, so the Ravens there, they need to win this week, and they'll get the number 5 seed in the AFC. All right, let's move on here. Number 9, the Atlanta Falcons. We know the situation with them, kind of like the Baltimore Ravens. They control their own playoffs, but it's a tough matchup for them compared to Baltimore.
For sure, and I mean, I think any NFL team would say, hey, I just want to control my own destiny. So for Atlanta Falcons fans out there, I mean, what more? I guess obviously what more could you want? You could obviously want to be in the playoffs no matter what, but yes, they have the Carolina Panthers this week, but it's a team that they can beat. Devonta Freeman coming into the last week was playing well. I mean, he ran for 192 total, or had 192 yards from scrimmage the week before that. So, but I think this game is obviously predicated on Matt Ryan. I mean, for people who like fantasy football, I know this isn't a fantasy football show, Matt Ryan's best fantasy performance the entire season was against Carolina Panthers, so maybe they can win.
The Panthers blitzed a lot. Matt Ryan, one of the better passers against the blitz. Something to monitor this week when those two play. All right, Falcons there at number 9. Number 8, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Apparently you saw this coming, Mitchell Renz. Jaguars, what can we say about that defense? Very, very solid. The one weakness, though, something I'm monitoring as we go into the playoffs here, they can't stop the run very well. So if teams run the football effectively against Jacksonville, that kind of slows down the pass rush. Something to keep an eye on, but Jacksonville having a great year.
So, yes, I got this call right. Believe me, I got many other calls wrong, and I have been told multiple times on Twitter the ones that I have gotten wrong. But I think the Jaguars, you say they can't stop the run. I think they've been much better since getting Marcel Darius. If you just look at season-long stats, Cam, I think the Jaguars really struggle. But with Marcel Darius, ever since they traded for him, they have been much better. That being said, though, I don't know if I can truly trust Blake Bortles in the playoffs. Like, I don't know if I can do it.
Well, if the Jaguars win in the playoffs, it's not going to be because of Blake Bortles. There's no doubt about it. He's just going to be the complementary piece to the team. So the Jaguars are there at number 8. Let's go to number 7 now. This team keeps on pounding the Carolina Panthers, one of the more physical teams in the NFL.
Yeah, phrasing there, Cam. But Cam Newton, again, is one of those players who has a lot of swagger right now. They're playing tough, no doubt, but this is a team who I think defense, again, it travels, especially in the playoffs. This is a team who has been to the Super Bowl. This is a team who I think could be a force to reckon with, and if they can get that first round bye, I mean, at home, this Carolina Panthers team is a tough team to beat. We'll see what happens. I mean, Christian McCaffrey has got a good matchup this week.
So as I was prepping for the show and everything, Mitchell, something dawned on me. So Cam Newton has been to a Super Bowl, right? And of course, the Peyton Manning year with Denver. So can Cam Newton retire a Super Bowl winner? Will that happen? And I want the folks at home to weigh in and throw in your respective comments here on Facebook Live. Mitchell, you say your comment live on air. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely could be. I mean, when you just look at the physically gifted players to play in the NFL, I think you could argue that Cam is one of the most physically gifted players to ever play in the NFL. When you just talk about size, arm strength, athletic ability, I mean, he's definitely up there, and no doubt up there for the quarterback position. It's just, can he get it done when it matters the most? He does still turn the ball over, a little too high for my liking, but, I mean, we saw this guy throw 35 touchdowns in an MVP season. There's no doubt that I think he could at least, he could retire a Super Bowl winner. Will it happen, though? I mean, he's playing against a lot of tough quarterbacks right now in the NFL.
All right, so the Carolina Panthers checking in at number 7 in our power rankings. We'll stay in the division, NFC South, number 6. The New Orleans Saints, who dat, baby, this team. Mitchell, we talked about them during our Super Bowl odds segment. Very, very balanced offense, a defense with a couple of pretty darn good corners, too.
That's what I mean. I mean, you want to talk about a balanced offense. They have a receiver with over 1,000 receiving yards, 2 running backs with over 1,000 scrimmage yards, and then Drew Brees is on pace to break the NFL completion percentage record. This is an offense that can beat you in so many different ways, and now they have a defense that can hold opponents to very few points. Scary team, and at home, in that dome, when that place starts rocking, oh man, that's a fun place, Cam.
All right, so the Saints can clinch the South if they win this week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road. The Saints are at 6. How about number 5, the LA Rams? Number 1 team in scoring offense, Mitchell. Not saying they are greatest show part 2, but I mean, they're getting there.
Oh, man. But, I mean, it's Jared Goff, 4 touchdowns last week, and Todd Gurley. What more could you possibly want out of a running back? Todd Gurley has just been unstoppable this year. I mean, he's got, what, 20 touchdowns? I mean, he's just unbelievable. He's not only doing it in the running game, Cam, he leads all running backs in receiving yards. Like, in my opinion, I'm going to say right now, he is the NFL MVP.
Wow. You heard it here.
He's going to be, I think he deserves it. When you just look at the numbers, when you just look at everything he's done, he's the NFL MVP, and he will, if he wins, it'll be the first running back to do it since AP in 2012.
So the Rams take on the 49ers this week at home. We'll see how Todd Gurley does in that one. Actually, you know, as I say that, Todd Gurley's not even going to be playing. Actually, the Rams are going to be sitting back when they play this week against the San Francisco 49ers, so maybe a chance for Jimmy G to get a victory. But we'll see how Todd Gurley plays in the playoffs. All right, so the Rams are there at number 5. Number 4, a bit of a stunner. The Philadelphia Eagles here, Mitchell. They won last week against the Oakland Raiders, but not in beautiful fashion.
Not in beautiful fashion, and it's been that way since they lost Wentz. And I mean, it kills me because I am from the Philadelphia area. A lot of my friends are Eagles fans, and this is absolutely killing them to see this offense and this team without Carson Wentz, because I think with Carson Wentz, the Eagles are the best team in the NFL. They've shown that throughout the entire season, and it really, really sucks to see a young quarterback like Wentz go down the way he did. But yes, this team has 13 wins. Yes, they have won without Carson Wentz, but you can't tell me that this team deserves to be in the top 3 with Nick Foles at quarterback. Sorry, you can't tell me it.
Eagles take on the Cowboys this week. So there they are at number 4, dropping from number 2 a week ago. Number 3 now, the Minnesota Vikings. There they are. We've talked about them a couple times throughout the show here. And a team that, heck, has gotten some surprising quarterback play from Mr. Case Keenum. But that defense is pretty darn good, too.
Oh, man. I mean, I love seeing guys like Case Keenum just come out and play. I mean, here's another guy. Go figure. He was in the Jeff Fisher system, gets out of it. Now he's playing unbelievable with Pat Shurmur, and I can't think of the head coach name for the Vikings. Zimmer. God, I love Zimmer. I've been saying he should be coach of the year the entire year. So, but 12 wins for the Vikings. They're beating teams up with that defense. Again, they haven't allowed more than 20 points at home this entire year. The Saints scored the most against them with 19 in week 1, but they can beat you with 2 running backs. They can beat you with a bunch of different wide receivers. Great tight end, and Kyle Rudolph. Oh, man, when you're just as balanced as the Vikings are, it's fun to watch.
So we have a weigh-in for the folks at home. Will the Vikings get a home game Super Bowl? And I have a command for all of you who think so. Give us a skull in the comment section, because we've gotten that a couple times throughout the show here. I love seeing that. I love seeing the purple passion, if you will.
Oh, man.
What do you think?
Oh, Skull Nation. I'll tell you what, man. Those are some of the most fun people who I interact with on social media, Facebook, Twitter, doesn't matter. They're passionate about their team, and they have every right to be. With that Carson Wentz injury, I think they are the clear top team to be feared right now in the NFC. I'll tell you what, Cam, they're my pick to make it to the Super Bowl.
Hey, I gotta love it. Isaac, Brad, Russell, Paul, Daniel, Dean, Allen, they're all flowing in right now in the comment section.
Get hyped.
A lot of big-time Minnesota Vikings fans. I'll tell you what, all you guys out there, that defense is going to be very, very disruptive throughout the NFC playoffs. And I'll say right here on air, Minnesota Vikings are going to Super Bowl 52.
Oh, man.
Okay?
They will do it. Let's get it.
All right, so the Vikings are at number 3 in our power rankings. Let's get to the top 2 here. Number 2, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big question mark, Antonio Brown. If they don't have him in the playoffs, a lot more pressure on Le'Veon Bell.
For sure. But if there's a guy who I think can handle it, it's Le'Veon Bell. I mean, he's on pace right now to, I believe, have the second most touches in NFL history, somewhere around that 460 mark, which is like just staggering to consider that, and the fact that he's held up. But when I look at this ranking right now for the Steelers, this is with Antonio Brown. So if they have Antonio Brown, I think you could argue that they are the second best team in the NFL. Without Antonio Brown, though, Cam, I don't know if Ben Roethlisberger can get it done. Yes, the defense has been playing better, but Ben Roethlisberger without Antonio Brown, without his safety blanket, I don't think they're a Super Bowl caliber team. But with Antonio Brown, they should have beat the Patriots. I don't care what the NFL rule is. We can get into probably a whole nother show whether or not it was a catch. In my opinion, that's a catch. Still should have beat the Patriots. But number 2 here on our list, Cam.
Yeah, so the Pittsburgh Steelers sit here, and they actually have an opportunity to get the number 1 overall seed in the AFC if somehow New England stumbles against the Jets here. But let's just, for the sake of argument, say Pittsburgh gets that number 2 seed here. Look, even if they don't have the services of Antonio Brown, I am not going to just say that the Steelers get a pass and it'll be okay if they get a first-round exit, because they have one of the better pass-protecting offensive lines in the NFL. David DeCastro, right guard, has been fantastic. They should be able to run block too with Le'Veon Bell there at the running back position. There is no excuse for the Steelers to just lay an egg because Antonio Brown isn't in the lineup there. But it looks like he should be okay to go. And thankfully for Steelers fans out there, they will be getting that first round bye. All right, so the Steelers are there at number 2. That means the New England Patriots are there at number 1. Tom Brady, in the month of December, he's been kind of rough.
Kind of rough, I think, is an understatement. I mean, I believe it's what, like 5-6 interceptions he has? And I mean, he struggled a lot. He's been struggling the last 3 weeks especially, so this is the thing, though. Tom Brady struggled, and they won 37-16. So, like, he's still struggled, and they still are winning games by a substantial amount of points. Again, Tom Brady in the playoffs. I don't know if you can pick anybody over him. I understand he's 41. I understand he's much older now, and he might be falling off a little bit. But can you really pick anybody over the Patriots? And I think a much, much weaker AFC? I don't know, Cam. I don't know, man.
All right, so the New England Patriots are sitting pretty right there, coming off a victory against the Buffalo Bills. If you are just tuning in to NFL Daily here, we did a Super Bowl odds ranking segment.
Okay.
And we are going to go back to the list here in terms of who in the NFL has the best odds to win the Super Bowl. And of course, we're just talking about teams that are mathematically in contention. Let's bring up 15 through 11 here. The Tennessee Titans, Buffalo Bills, Chargers, Baltimore Ravens, and the Seattle Seahawks. Actually, a couple of these teams aren't even guaranteed playoff spots, but Mitchell, you think the Ravens could be a scary team to make some noise?
For sure. I mean, you love January Joe. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Joe at all. It doesn't matter what month it is. But, again, solid defense, running game that has been much better than what people expected. Alex Collins especially has been great. But I don't know if they have the receivers to really get it done to make that push. But, hey, Joe Flacco, he proved me wrong before. I lost a few bets in college. Maybe he can do it again.
There you go. 15 through 11 there. Let's go to 10 through 6 in terms of Super Bowl odds here. Falcons, Jaguars, Chiefs, Panthers, Saints. Who Dat Nation has been highly populated in the Facebook comment section. What do you think about the Saints and their chances?
I love the Saints, love their chances. Drew Brees on pace to break the NFL completion record. I've probably said that now 8 times on this show. But, like, he is truly opening up the holes that this running game has gotten. Like, the running backs are getting so much credit. And I'm not saying they don't deserve the credit, but teams are still stacking the box, or, like, playing back, I should say. They're playing back because they're afraid of Drew Brees. And that is what's truly opening up the holes. And I think the New Orleans Saints have the best run blocking line in the NFL. That's my opinion.
Really a fantastic offensive line at that, and not getting a lot of credit. So we'll do it right here. Great offensive line for the New Orleans Saints. Carolina Panthers, a couple of good offensive linemen on that front too, why they're running the football effectively, at least better recently than they have in the earlier part of the season. All right, so there's 10 through 6. Let's get to the favorites now. Rams, Eagles, Vikings, Steelers, Patriots. And boy, when you look at it, it actually falls in line with our power rankings, Mitchell. How about that?
Yeah, it does. It's kind of funny how that worked out, Cam. But there is one team on here who I don't think deserves to be in the top 5 for Super Bowl odds, and it's the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, I understand they've clinched home field advantage, but in my opinion, they're not the best team. They're not a top 4 team right now with Nick Foles. I think the Rams would beat them. I think the Saints would beat them. I would take the Panthers over them. Like, with Nick Foles, they are not a top 4 team. But all those other teams, I would love to see them in the playoffs. In the Super Bowl, if I could have a Rams, oh man, I want to see Rams, Vikings, and then probably the Patriots ended up making a, Cam. They always do. All
right, so those are the favorites in terms of Super Bowl possibilities here, folks. It's NFL Daily here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. I'm Cam Rogers. This guy right here is Mitchell Renz. Follow him on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. We thank you for tuning in. And we're going to go through our summary for our power rankings now. So let's go back all the way to the cellar. Number 32, Cleveland Browns, still winless on the campaign. 31, Giants. 30, Colts. 29, Texans. 28 through 25 now, Buccaneers, Bears, Broncos, and Jets. 24 through 21, we have the Dolphins, Bengals, Raiders, and 49ers. And then 20 through 17, Cardinals, Packers. Then the Redskins and Buffalo Bills. Bills still have postseason possibilities. 16 through 13, Titans, Lions, Cowboys, and Chargers. Cowboys and Lions already eliminated. Seahawks, Chiefs, Ravens, and Falcons make up 12 through 9 there. And some winning in possibilities for the Ravens and Falcons. 8 through 5 here, Jaguars, Panthers, Saints, and Rams. And finally, the top 4, Philadelphia Eagles, Minnesota Vikings, Pittsburgh Steelers, and the New England Patriots. Folks, that is your list for the Week 17 NFL Power Rankings here on NFL Daily, presented by the Game Time app. Get up to 60% off all those last-minute tickets. Download the app today, chatsports.com/tickets. And Mitchell, you are a big fan of this app. You've surfed it many times, checking out the prices, and you got some prices right in front of you, huh?
I do, but I was checking it out for the app. I was checking it out for you. You're a little bit of a homer for Joe Flacco, so I was checking out some tickets. If you guys want to go check out the Baltimore Ravens, Cam, you can watch the Ravens right now, $35.
It's not too bad.
Again, you're going to pay more for parking. You're going to pay more to probably get there. You're going to probably pay more for your drinks. Game Time app is going to hook you up with the really cheap tickets, and I guarantee if you wait till the last minute, they're going to get even cheaper.
All right, folks, many thanks to Game Time for coming along here on NFL Daily. If you missed any of the show, don't you worry. We are going to loop it for the next few hours, so keep it right here on this video. Check out more of our analysis in terms of the bottom feeder teams in the NFL Power Rankings, as well as the Super Bowl 52 odds segment. So don't you worry, too. We'll be back here tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, NFL Daily. Chat Sports Facebook Live. For Mitchell Renz, I'm Cam Rogers. We'll see you next time.